opportunity to deep dive into a powerful conversation with one of the fascinating people, Dr. Padmashree ji. Ma'am is an emotion scientist, family counselor, and a visionary behind Bhaavtharang, which means ripples of emotions. It is a powerful platform that is focused on emotional well-being of everyone. Dear viewers, this podcast is going to be really transformative, helps us understand ourselves and build and make a difference in this world. We had an opportunity to ask many questions like embracing the emotions, the impact of emotions in the life, enhancing the relationship between the couples, emotional intelligence. On the whole, it is going to be a valuable guidance for one who is seeking emotional healing and personal growth.
The way we have understood mindfulness is not complete. Mindfulness is not only about meditation. We think mindfulness is about meditation. It's not only about meditation. It's about you being present in the now. Right? So now, how can you be present in the now if you have a mind that is running everywhere else?
Does the emotional state of a boy and a girl, or I'll keep it general, males and females, differ from each other? When we drop a pebble inside a water or a pond, it creates ripples in the waters. It will spread far and wide. That is how the emotions is going to have a powerful impact on a person. Not only that, it impacts everyone around us. When we stop fighting for the emotions and start to embrace it, that is where we actually find a way to build ourselves properly. These kind of beautiful lines have been given by Bhaavtharang, and ma'am is the founder of Bhaavtharang. And ma'am, it is an absolute pleasure to have you in the podcast. Thank you so much for accepting my invite, and welcome to Undefined. Ma'am,
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
yes.
It's a pleasure to actually share whatever knowledge I have gathered in my life. So, in fact, I always believe that whatever I learn or whatever anybody learns, it is only when they give it out into the world does it have any value.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Thank you for.
You're someone. Sorry, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you're someone who understands the emotions in its deepest state. Not only that, you have spent time to explore the dimensions of emotions, and you've curated it in such a way that the emotions helps us for our well-being. Ma'am, what are emotions? And our emotions impact others and others' emotions impact us. How can we balance these emotions, and how important it is to understand these things?
Okay, so let me make it very simple. If you see the word emotion, it consists of E and motion, right? So you can actually look at E as energy. So it is energy in motion. So anything that is going around in our body, the energy, we are all made up of energy, right? So the energy that is moving is what is emotion. In fact, what gives us action itself is emotion. So anything that moves, the energy that moves is an emotion. And basically, it is connected to our body. And the conduit or between us and the body is the breath. It is through the breath that you can certainly get access to your emotions and regulate it. Now, unfortunately, what has happened is last 50, 60 years, we have given more and more attention to intelligence, which is more of cognitive by nature. And because of which emotions have always been, put it in the backstage. One of the other reasons also is that emotions cannot be measured. They're very subjective by nature. Whereas cognition can be measured. You can go very objective with cognition, how much intelligence and all that. But emotion cannot be measured. That's why the scientific community has been a little backlayed with respect to emotions. But for the past 25, 30 years since emotional intelligence came up in 1990, Daniel Goleman actually popularized it with his book, Emotional Intelligence. From then onwards, the scientific community is noticing it. And now, with neuroscience coming into the picture, we have started to realize that emotions are at the foundation of our cognition also. So, if we don't regulate it, how much ever you cognitively develop yourself, you be more intelligent, you cannot manage your life. So, emotions are at the foundation now. And we all, the scientific community too, understands that. So, how do we balance our life is by balancing emotions and cognition. These are the two systems we have in the brain. Emotions are the most primitive, cognitive is the new one that's coming up, which is the neocortex, what we say, the frontal and the prefrontal lobe that we have, the frontal. So, which is more of the cortex, like you see that worm like structure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's more like the thinking brain, they call it. The field brain is much more primitive. It is inside. So now balance happens when you start to give attention to both equally. So when we start to feel one emotion, that is, after you feel, when you start to label it and say, I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling angry. When I say that, then I'm giving work to the cognition. Language, right? So when there is this interplay happening, then a balance happens. So there is a usage of both emotion brain and cognitive brain. So these two needs to be, managed in a way that both are given attention and use them equally in order to balance our life and emotions.
Wonderful, ma'am. That's a great explanation. So there are a lot of emotions out there. I recently read a quote. The most destructive of them, according to our understanding, it's a general understanding, is anger. The quote says that anger is like drinking poison and expecting others to die. It exhibits an emotional response which is disrespectful, which creates frustration to everyone. Nobody likes a person who is exhibiting anger. So this anger accordingly, detaches one person from others. So from your years of study, ma'am, what kind of information you can share about this emotion, anger, why people doesn't accept the anger, and can it be possible to be used it in a most constructive way or deliver it in a very respectful way of, I'm not trying to put it on the words. So what we can understand from anger, ma'am, how can we handle this?
If you look at the emotion, if the word anger itself, that emotion per se is not a destructive emotion, because no emotion is destructive or constructive. Emotions are emotions. I'll give you an analogy. Like if you see a color set, you have all the colors: green, red, yellow, black, white, all the colors you have. Brown, you have colors that are dull, colors that are bright. You have all type of colors. Do you call any of these colors positive color and negative color?
No, ma'am.
And each of these colors are needed and required to actually make a painting.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Similarly, emotions are, it's like a palette of emotions that we have. It's like colors. That is what emotions is what gives us colors in life.
Okay.
It makes our life colorful.
Yes.
Now, if you start to say one emotion is positive, one emotion is negative, then you're actually differentiating and becoming biased with your own emotions.
Okay.
Right? So that itself is destructive. That mode of not liking something is destructive for yourself.
Okay.
Right? So anger is not a destructive emotion. Sadness is not a very low emotion. Fear is not a destructive emotion. All of them are emotions, just emotions.
Okay.
However, what makes it destructive or constructive is the way we handle it, the way we give attention to it or not give attention to it. Just like someone doesn't like it when we don't give attention to them, or neither do we like it when someone doesn't give us attention. Emotions also become destructive when they are not given attention.
So it's possible to turn the emotion, any emotion, to and use it in a constructive way.
Absolutely. Anger also can be used constructively. Now, if you see athletes have anger issues. They channelize their anger into performance.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Similarly, there are so many achievers who have used their anger, channelized their anger into achievement. Anger is an energy. All emotions are energy. How do you channelize that energy is what you need to learn. That is emotional regulation.
Okay. So when I am driving in a car, I see a person who is going in a bike. He actually drives a little long way, and without even thinking about the vehicle that is coming behind, he simply makes a turn to the, wants to go to the other side. He does not put an indicator. He does not indicate me. He does not warns me. So most of the people out there, using their mind, they are driving the vehicle, not physically present there. Ma'am, how important it is for everyone to stay mindful. What kind of, can you please tell us one practice that you teach in Bhaavtharang, which will help them stay mindful?
So, mindful is a very now a word that is used quite frequently in the internet world or the emotion world. But the way we have understood mindfulness is not complete.
Okay.
Mindfulness is not only about meditation. We think mindfulness is about meditation. It's not only about meditation. It's about you being present in the now. Right? So now, how can you be present in the now if you have a mind that is running everywhere, but being in your body?
Absolutely.
So our life can be integrated or calm and quiet and peaceful. And also, we can do something with our life only when the mind and the body are aligned. When can the mind and body be aligned? When they are together. But then, see, mind is an abstract thing, no form. Body as a form, it is physical. So they are both opposite. Body is concrete, mind is abstract. But then, if both don't be together, then it's difficult for us to lead life. Because the mind's nature isn't running away everywhere. It is somewhere in the other outer space at one point of time, and the next moment it may be somewhere else with a friend of ours. We'll be thinking of a friend of ours, or you'll be thinking of California, or you'll be thinking of Nanjangud. It could be any place that you're thinking of, or any person you're thinking of. So the mind is running. It is never at home. Home is the body. So mindfulness is a practice of bringing the mind back to the body. Okay. Every moment, it is our duty to bring the mind back to the body. Okay. The moment you get to know, oh, my mind is going somewhere else and running somewhere else, I bring my mind back to the body. How do I do that? It is by a practice called pausing. Okay. Pausing is like, okay, you're doing anything, whatever you're doing, you take a moment, a minute or so to actually, maybe an alarm system can work. The alarm goes, and then that moment you will remind yourself, okay, I have to bring my mind to my body and notice my body. So like I'll give you that practice right now. So just take your mind's attention to the weight of the body. Okay. Just take your mind's attention to the weight of the body. Feel the weight of the body falling on the place you're sitting. Okay. Now, take the mind's attention and notice your posture.
Okay.
The way the straightness of your spine, how is your shoulder feeling, how is your head holding, the neck is holding the head, how is your neck feeling. So just observe that posture and begin to notice the changes that happen in your body.
Okay.
Do you feel pleasant or do you feel unpleasant? Whatever it is, become aware of it.
Okay.
You don't need to tell me that, but you become aware of it for yourself.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
If I am not comfortable or I'm feeling unpleasant, then you give that your mind's attention to that place where you're feeling uncomfortable. Like if, for example, your chest is heavy, then you take your mind to the chest and say, oh, chest is heavy. So I am with my chest. So then you're mindfully looking at your chest. The next thing that you do is take your mind's attention to your breath and notice the way you're inhaling and you're exhaling.
Yes.
And when you're inhaling, can you see your body expands? When you're exhaling, the body contracts.
Yes.
Right. Now, everybody knows this as knowledge,
Okay.
but nobody experiences it like experiencing.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Mindfulness isn't that simple practice where you're bringing the mind's attention to the body and noticing what's happening with your body. This can be done anytime during the day. For example, somebody, a homemaker, is cooking at home.
Okay.
And she or he is, washing a vessel. So if being mindful is, where is my hand? How is my hand feeling under the water? What vessel am I holding? Okay. And then what is the sound I'm hearing?
Okay.
Of the water of the vessel. So that is mindful.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am.
Mostly what we do is we are doing the work, but mind is running somewhere else and worrying something else. Yeah.
You're the right person to talk about this. We scrolled to your socials and your amazing website. We understood all the services that Bhaavtharang platform is offering us. Ma'am, you have to be really experienced with emotions to teach so many things about Bhaavtharang. Can you please tell us about what's so unique therapy that you offer from Bhaavtharang? What kind of support people will get when they become a part of Bhaavtharang? We would love to hear from you, ma'am.
So initially, Bhaavtharang was catering only to one-on-one counseling, one-on-one coaching, or someone wants to speak one-on-one to know how to regulate their emotions.
Yes.
So that is majorly since last 15 years, I've been doing counseling and coaching to people in different areas of life. It could be a homemaker, it could be somebody who's in the corporate, somebody who's a couple counseling or a child, family counseling. So these have been the different one-on-one or a family group family counseling that I've been doing, right? We practice mindfulness. We also we have a program called Morning Raga, which we do it in the morning, and we have a program called Sleep with Gratitude, which we do in the night. So what we do is in the morning we have this 1 hour. We begin with being mindful about the body, grounding practices, pausing practices for 10-15 minutes, and then we go into completing the day or creating the day. And then we have a theme every month, which we take on to discuss for 20 minutes. Everybody will give their point of view. Some people who are willing to share, they share. Some people who are wanting to listen only. Sometimes they say, I'm sharing. Sometimes they say, I'm only in the listening mode. Let me not share. So it's a very safe space for people where they experience safety, and also they can share whatever they can't share anywhere else.
Yes.
So they do. And then we do a bit of reading. Somebody comes with a reading, and then we summarize. I give narratives on different ways of thinking. So every day when they attend, we do this 8 days in the morning every month and 8 days in the evening, sleep with gratitude. So this helps them create and complete the day.
Okay.
Enables them to, not keep anything in their mind running when they're sleeping or when they wake up in the morning. So this helps in rewiring the brain. Neuroscience says that we can very easily nowadays depending on changing the experiences and the way you talk to yourself, you can rewire your brain. And your nervous system also starts to shift when you rewire your brain.
So, do you believe in fate or karma? That is a very commonly used word nowadays. Do you think there is any relationship between the fate and the emotions?
So you spoke of karma. Karma is the Kannada word for fate, anyways, destiny, what we call.
Oh, okay.
So karma, Kannada, Hindi, all of our Indian languages, we call it karma.
Yes.
So in fact, karma, I do believe, because I define karma as the consequences of the actions that we do.
Okay.
If I take any action, good, bad, ugly, there is a consequence to it.
Absolutely.
There is no action without a consequence.
Okay. Okay.
So if I have taken any action, I will have to face the consequence.
Okay.
So karma is not a negative word. It's a very neutral word.
Oh, okay.
I consider karma as a neutral word. But then we have, mentally got used to karma as a negative word. We have given a negative connotation. It's like, मेरी ये क्या कर्म है? Yeah. Nandiyen karma. In Kannada, we say Nandiyen karma.
Yes,
Prarabdha karma. We say all of these,
yes,
which are negative connotations.
yes, yes, yes.
But karma, in my view, is not negative. It's a neutral word.
Okay.
If you want to take it, it is up to you.
Up to us. So there is a relationship between the fate and emotions, ma'am. Every emotion has, obviously, right?
Obviously. So if emotions are what are running your actions.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And
Absolutely.
karma is about whatever action you take, there is a consequence.
Yes.
Depends on, again, whether you face the consequence in next 1 minute or in next 1 hour or in next 1 month or 1 year or maybe next life. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
The consequence may come later.
Yes.
Every action will have a consequence. That is the first step for emotional recognition, labeling, all that ruler that you do. That is why that whole process is very important. When you reach that regulation stage, then all of this comes into that you can start to have that interaction which is very amicable and harmonious. The first step is work on yourself. Thank you for that. Wonderful. So another round of applause to them. Before anything, before going and expecting anything from anyone, become your own best friend.
Okay.
So once your own best friend and you are comfortable with yourself, who you are, how you are, then it becomes much more easier to be with another person without wanting to change that person.
Yes. Understood.
That is when, whether you are alone, you'll still feel happy. Even with your someone, you still feel happy.
Also spoke in Kannada, so which means you are from Mysore. I believe you're born in Mysore and you are now in Bangalore. Where are you, ma'am?
I actually was born in a hospital in Bangalore, but I stay in Mysore.
Okay, okay. I said the other way around. Anyways, what your education?
I am not from this area, by the way. So my basic graduation happened in finance. So
Okay.
I did MBA in finance from
Wow.
only, and then I worked in the finance sector for 10 years.
Okay.
Companies like HDFC and Max Life Insurance.
Okay.
Vijaya Bank. So I was in companies like that for about 10 years. So I worked the corporates. However, what shifted me into this space is a tragic event that happened in my life.
Oh, okay.
I lost four of my family members.
Oh, okay.
So, which included my in-laws, mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, and my daughter.
Oh,
My daughter was 8 years old,
okay.
and all four of them passed in 2009, April 1st.
Okay.
So when after that happened, of course, nobody would know how to deal with such a tragedy.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
So I also didn't know how to deal with it. And after 2 months, I somehow took the courage to reach out to a cousin of mine. And she recommended a space where people get together to release emotions.
Okay.
Something called as releasing technique. We have some. So I joined that space, and from there, I asked her if I can have someone with whom I can speak
Yes.
individually. So somehow I don't know. It was more like somebody was guiding me, as
Okay.
if I consider it was my daughter who passed, guided me types. So I then started counseling with a very, very wonderful, compassionate counselor in Bangalore.
Okay.
So I'm extremely grateful to her, Bhagya Lakshmi Murali. She is Bhagya. So with her counseling, I started to really understand what's happening with me.
Okay.
And with her compassion, it was much more easier for me to accept myself the way I was going. I worked for about 6 to 8 months with her to really stabilize. But then after that, there was another very, very important milestone of mine, which is me being a part of Landmark. Landmark provides a training and development company, which actually gives training in the aspects of living. It gives distinctions. I was a part of that at Bangalore for about 10 to 12 years, and that turned around my life. I really started to see life completely differently.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was when, after a year, I chose to quit or complete from my finance career. And I said, this is what I want to do. The moment I met my counselor, Bhagya, it was like, this is what I want to do.
Okay.
So I shifted. I joined Banjara Academy. An academy is an NGO at Bangalore, which gets counseling diploma. And I was very clear at that time that I don't want to do anything with respect to knowledge. I don't want to know more knowledge about psychology and stuff. I want to experience humanity and human emotions and the psyche of human beings.
Yes, yes.
So the first preference was to work on myself.
Okay.
And go ahead to make that difference to others. So whatever I learned, whether I learned cognitive behavior therapy, or I learned hypnotherapy, I learned neuro-linguistic programming, I learned so many other modalities of therapy. All of it, I first used it on myself.
Great, ma'am.
Yeah. So I went on to learn more. The more I went on to learn about myself, and I started to heal myself, I could understand other human beings.
Yes, ma'am.
So that was the shift for me from my finance career to the career in this mind or counseling. And from counseling in the year of 2020, when COVID hit, somewhere during that time, I started to give more attention to emotions, because in my 10 years of counseling practice, I started to see that people are struggling with how to manage their emotions. So that when I started to listen to, talks by Brene Brown, author, and she's a researcher in emotions. So Brene Brown, that really inspired me, and I took on a PhD in emotional intelligence in 2020, and completed in 3.5 years. Wow. So I am a PhD in emotional intelligence from Mysore, JSS. Okay. Yeah.
And sorry about the loss, and I feel really happy that you came back. Your blog is watering me. When I just say about this word watering me, my mind pushes towards myself how important we are, how important to take care of us. That is what the first thing that I felt. And one of your blog posts about judgment and reality, how actually the people are and how we judge them is a really beautiful blog post. Everything in life happens by design. The thing that you are not responsible for how people imagine about yourself in their mind. So all these things are really, really wonderful words that is put. So ma'am, my question is the judgment and reality. When we judge people and evaluate themselves, is our brain trying to protect us? How does this work, ma'am? Is it good or bad to judge others?
It's not the good and bad or right and wrong of judgment. Judgment itself is a human nature.
Okay.
See, our brains and the whole of the body, the cells in the skin also, periphery, they're all scanning for threats around us.
Okay. Okay.
Because as an organism, human beings also want to protect themselves, right?
Absolutely.
Right? So even a bacteria is scanning, is there a threat? And from which I have to protect myself. Now, when human beings have something called brain, which is thinking. We have a thinking brain. Unlike animals, we have thinking brain, which then makes interpretations of those threats around us.
Okay.
When there is danger, anything, then it makes an interpretation. And then it takes our feelings help us take actions.
Okay.
So if that is a meaning or interpretation we are making of what is there outside, that we call just a judgment. So I'm judging that. Now for human beings, because we think, we also have meanings that we are making on the behavior of other people, on the words that other people have said, on the way they are behaving with us. So ours is the next level of thinking. So if that person is behaving like that, looking at me, somebody is laughing, for example, okay, and their eyes by mistake are looking at me. The moment I see that that person is laughing on me, so I'm already judging that person. That person is laughing on me. I'm assuming. So most of our judgments come from the meanings that we make, the interpretations that we make of the things that are happening around us. Right? So now the brain is judging and making the meaning. We call that judgment. So by nature, we have to judge to actually protect ourselves.
Yes.
But then if we collapse that judgment as that is real. Now, I see that person is laughing, and unfortunately or unfortunately, that person's eyes are looking at me.
Yes.
And I start to assume that I start to make a meaning in my mind. That person is laughing at me. I don't like it.
Yes.
If I know that person, then I'll start to not like that person. Even if that person is my friend, I will stop talking to that person laughed at me. So I'm making a judgment. Now, I am making that judgment that person is laughing at me and that person doesn't like me. That's why that person is laughing at me, and maybe they're gossiping about me in the back.
Yes, yes.
Then I make a judgment about that person and I make it real.
Okay.
So the problem happens not when we judge. Problem happens when I make that judgment as reality.
Reality. Okay.
I collapse reality with judgment.
And dear viewers, this is an absolutely important blog that you people must read. It's going to help you for your personal development as well. And I have given the blog's link in the description. Please go find out yourself. And ma'am, there are a lot of emojis that represents the emotions of a person. Today we use WhatsApp, Instagram, and social media. Which is your favorite emoji, ma'am? Do you have anything like that?
I don't have a favorite as such, but I like all the emojis. They're very cute, the round ones, and with a heart and all of that. In fact, as we go ahead in this world of emojis, I think a lot of communication will start happening through emojis that we need to master and we need to learn probably. Misunderstandings also are happening out of emojis. So I only say that let's start to become more aware. I do love those emojis.
Okay. Does the emotional state of a boy and a girl, or I will keep it general. Males and females differ from me. And also, if you take a person, does he has an internal and external emotional state? Both are different from each other. For example, once I got really frustrated with my boss, and I thought that I would shout at him today. And when I came near the boss, I said, "Okay, boss, I will do whatever you say." "Okay, fine, sir." So this state was inside with me, was different from outside. So what is this, ma'am? Does it differ from male and female and internal, external? Am I right in saying that?
So there are two questions here. So let me take the first one,
Yes.
which is male and female. See, biologically, even though our brains and most of our bodies are very similar, male and female, there are these very, very important changes that are there, differences that are there, where we as women have this ability to give birth, create a child, create another human being. So, and also all the other hormones that are associated with conceiving.
Okay.
Right? So, and men have a different constitution,
Yes.
structure that way. So, those are the little differences that are there. Now, because we can conceive, we have something, an hormone called estrogen,
Yes.
which normally is the responsible hormone for us to learn or know nurturing, the bonding and the nurturing that we create with other human beings comes from that. So that empathy, compassion comes much more naturally for women. And we believe in bonding, in fact. Evolutionarily also, since men in the olden Stone Age used to go out for hunting, and women were the ones staying around here. They had to stay together to protect themselves. Yes. Men had to go hunt and be silent, watching for a prey to come to hunt, right? Yes. Even though they would go together, they would all sit alone and watch. Yes. For hunting to happen. So these also make a huge difference in the way we women express, because we women had to connect to everyone, bonding with everyone to protect each other. So that is very natural for us. And also with estrogen, it is very, very natural for us to bond and love and empathize and compassionate. Whereas for men, it is more to be tough because they have to provide for the family. Now it's all changing, however. But for the men, it's like they have to provide, they have to be tough, and they have to be strong and blah, blah. So they are not encouraged culturally to express their emotions.
Yes, yes.
That for many years, since it's become like that for thousands of years, men have the genetics, it's changed. The genetics have changed probably because over a number of years, when a particular way of being is continued consistently, there are genetic changes that happen according to epigenetics. If you start to look at the environment and the culture that we develop, changes the genetics inside us.
Okay, ma'am. So there is difference between internal and external as well. So this answers that also, I think.
Yeah, I'll come to that. So that way, even though all emotions are present in both men and women, because of the nurturing that we as women have more, the emotions come out much more, free flowing, I must say. Okay. But then nowadays, again, because women also are expected to be strong and they are also becoming providers, it's shifting slowly. But then because basically biologically we do have that need to express ourselves, there is more of emotional dysregulation that's happening with the women. Men are showing up with more of diseases. If you see their blood pressure hike, their sugar problems or other heart issues, all of that is because they suppress their emotions. Okay. They don't express it because beliefs are that boys should not cry. It's weak.
Yes, absolutely. That's a big thing now.
Yeah, you may have heard that, boys should not cry. They should be strong. It is weak to cry. Why are you crying like a girl? All of these things. So when they're not asked, made to express, anger becomes much more prominent with them because it's masculine to express anger. It's okay. Earlier times, warriors used to express anger, through. So that way, there are differences in culture and the way we have looked at the genders. So
Yes.
that is what is making the changes. It's more cultural differences that comes in emotions for male and female. Now, with respect to the external and internal,
Functions.
that's the what I must say disalignment between your internal world and external world, Vinod. It's more like, you have an internal world which only you experience and feel and and then there is this external world which you have to address and deal with.
Yes.
So then you are like, okay, the society tells this, or I believe this, and if both are different, then you're gone. You will, if you're like, oh, I have to do whatever my boss says in order to survive, but internally I'm not wanting to do that.
Yes.
So there is no congruence between the internal and the external world. There's no alignment. So then there is a fight between your internal world and the external world. Unfortunately, many of us are living like that.
Okay.
That is the reason for stress to come up.
Okay.
Because you're internally and externally two different people.
Yes.
And there is this fight every time happening between your internal world and external world. And there's that resistance. The more the resistance and the fight between your internal and external, the more stressful you become.
Yes. Great, ma'am. And talking about my boss is beyond all the emotions. And guys, dear viewers, if you want to really want to experience frustration, you are welcome to try my boss. Anyways, intelligence. And how can it help in health, well-being, and also personal development?
So if you see the phrase emotional intelligence, it consists of the word emotional and intelligence.
Yes.
So earlier we thought intelligence was only to do with cognitive mathematics and science and blah, blah, blah. But there's emotions. How can there be intelligence in emotions? So emotional intelligence gives us this interplay, like I already explained to you. There is this emotion brain in us, and there is this cognitive brain in us, which is feeling brain and thinking brain. So, emotional intelligence is the right amount of usage of your feeling brain and the right amount of usage of the thinking brain. So, it's that interplay, when to use your thinking brain and when to use your feeling brain. So, when you balance both, your emotional intelligence is balanced.
When a couple marries, there is a transition of emotions when they try to adhere their partner's emotions. As a result, what happens when it does not correlate as they expected, there is a chances of it is a lot of misunderstandings to happen. Ma'am, for a couple, how should they be prepared emotionally and mentally to hold a long-lasting relationship?
See, when two people get married or they start to live together,
yes,
or they start to date each other,
yes,
if they are certainly looking for a long-term relationship, then it is very important.
okay,
And there is AB,
okay,
right? So there is A, there is B, there is AB.
yes,
There's a relationship. AB is the relationship,
okay,
right? A brings a baggage into AB, B brings a baggage into AB.
maybe,
So now both A and B needs to know what is the baggage the other person is bringing and what is the baggage I need to bring in. So objectively, they need to see.
yes, ma'am,
Only when it matches, they can. Now, if they become aware, once they become aware and they see, okay, A knows what triggers B and B knows what triggers A. A knows what are favorites and all that we already have been doing. But if you can start to understand and become aware, okay, this is how B gets triggered, this is how A gets triggered, and then you don't change that. The problem happens here is because when A wants to change B and B wants to change A, that's when the problem starts.
okay,
Instead, if you can just become aware, okay, this is how A reacts, this is how B reacts, and this is how we look at life. And these are the things that are important for each other. When you start to understand these things and accept it, okay, this is how we are. Does it match? If it matches, well, go ahead. If it doesn't match also, there is work to do.
Yes.
Marriage or any relationship is work. It is not like you have a perfect guy you'll get or a perfect girl you'll get. That's not how it works. Even if you get a perfect girl, we are ever changing. We are always changing.
Yes.
They say, before we got married, you were so good. Now you've changed.
Yes. This happens. That's
That
going to really help.
Yeah, that will happen because people are changing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but then, so you need to sit back and say, okay, this is how we need to understand each other and give that space to be and also work through the relationship. That is the only way to understand each other's emotional differences, cognitive differences, intelligence differences, and respect those differences.
Okay.
Not to go to change them.
Yes. Dear viewers, for you people to understand emotions, you can go and watch the animated Hollywood movie Inside Out, and it's a wonderful movie. It's going to tell everything about emotions. What kind of advice would you give for the people who is generally struggling with isolation and loneliness?
Advice. Okay, so isolation and loneliness. See, unfortunately or unfortunately, after the breakage of or joint family systems and family systems itself are going through a transition. So many of them coming from the north to the south, south to north, and they're shifting for work, going abroad, and stuff like that. And relationships are also not working.
Yes.
People are becoming more and more lonely. And that is one of the biggest, it's become like a disease or a condition of the world. There are many people who are lonely. One of the ways, one is you can fight your loneliness and keep, become addicted to other substances that can take you out. That is one unhealthy way of dealing with loneliness. Many of them do that. Or you can start to create a friendship with your own self. So what I did was I started to create that friendship with my own self and to be comfortable with who I am with myself.
Okay.
Right. So I always say to people that whether you are in a relationship or whether, because I see a lot of people are in relationships, are married, but still feel lonely.
Okay.
They have people around them, they have their families around, but still feel lonely. Why? Because they are not with themselves. So I always say, before anything, before going and expecting anything from anyone, become your own best friend.
Okay.
So once your own best friend and you are comfortable with yourself, who you are, how you are, then it becomes much more easier to be with another person without wanting to change that person.
Yes, understood.
That is when, whether you are alone, you'll still feel happy. Even with your someone, you still feel happy.
Yes.
So loneliness is something that we have to look forward in the sense of creating your own relationship with yourself and being your own best friend. That is when you will not feel lonely, even though you're alone.
And I don't know whether you're the right person to ask this question. Who are suffering from a mental state of suiciding themselves. It may be high reason of humiliation, depression, and distress, whatever happened in their life, and they will actually decide to self-immolate themselves. Ma'am, if a person who is watching this, thinking to suicide, what kind of help or advice would you give for him to reverse this and come back to the normal state and to avoid such things in the future? What kind of practices should he do to strengthen his mind and avoid these heinous acts?
See, one thing that we feel good about life, Vinod, is the worthiness that we feel about ourselves. Am I worthy to be born on this planet? And how does this worthiness come up? It comes up with what I am doing in life.
Okay.
Which is, what's the purpose of my life? Where am I going? if I don't know where to travel, then there's no point to travel, right? So, um, so my worthiness doesn't come from what somebody else is doing. Unfortunately, what we are doing is we are comparing what I'm doing, what the individual is doing, with what everybody else is doing.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, it's for example, if I'm a bird, I will look at the fish and say, "Oh my God, I can't swim like a fish.
Yeah.
I'm worthless." There's no hope in this world, Vinod. Unfortunately, even today, more so today, are comparing themselves and they're making themselves feel worthless.
Okay.
Instead of going in within journey and starting to look at why did I come here? What am I, expressing in this life?
Yes.
It's what we need to ask inside, not outside.
Okay.
But our careers, our education, everything is dependent on what the society wants, what parents want. So that is where a lot of suppression happens, and then they'll not be able to express their talent or their what they have come here for. So expression can be anything. Like for example, I express through music. There are so many things, so many times when I can manage my stress by singing, by listening to music. But there are parents who will say, "Oh, study, don't listen to music." But that child is able to express when listening to music, isn't it? So there are these things that we are, there are barriers that stop us from expressing ourselves. And when we stop expressing ourselves is when we don't feel like living.
Okay.
So anyone who's listening this and you feel you don't feel like living, you must ask yourself, in whose world are you living? Are you living in your own world, or are you living in this world of
This world. Yes.
somebody else's world and comparing yourself, and that's why you feel worthless about yourself?
Yes.
That question. When I live for myself, then I'm living, actually.
Yes. Great, ma'am. Great explanation. So, guys, who is out there, please don't think about all these things. There are a lot of the people to help you. Just go and talk it out to someone whom you trust. Don't ever think about all those things. There are a lot of better ways to change our life and live a beautiful life and make our life beautiful. Obviously, there are a lot of people to support. Please go find them. And Bhaavtharang is one of the platform which you can definitely approach with a lot of difficulties. Let it be a family issues, let you something you wanted to share. Please make sure that you join Bhaavtharang as well. Now, talking about Bhaavtharang, you also train corporates. You also train big education institutions. If someone who is watching wants to be a part of Bhaavtharang, wants to join your wellness center platform, how can they approach, ma'am?
Of course, the WhatsApp is available. So both of us can be reached out to. And you can also visit bhaavtharang.com. And through our Insta page, also Bhaavtharang Insta page, you can reach out. And I have my LinkedIn, Padmashree is my LinkedIn account, Padmashree GS. So you can reach out to all of these mails handles, and we will be available for you.
Great, ma'am. Ma'am, I request you to give permission to post all these details in the video description below this video. And it will be really helpful for people who is seeking happiness. And I'm so thankful on behalf of the viewers for giving your valuable time for our well-being. And I'm so grateful for everything, for all the discussion and insights. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day, ma'am.